What is the vision for the Vendors Arcade? To provide a world-class shopping environment where local goods and services can be provided and experienced by locals and visitors. Why is this redevelopment necessary? The renovations and expansions will revitalize the infrastructure and enhance the shopping experience for vendors, locals, and visitors. Who will be responsible for the Vendors Arcade? The arcade will continue to be operated and managed by the Castries Constituency Council, who will have full responsibility for the rental and maintenance of the space. How will construction of the Vendors Arcade be managed? A phased approach will be employed to minimize disruption to daily operations. After the completion of each phase, vendors will be relocated from the former arcade, and this will continue until completion of the new facility. St. Lucia Cruise Port, investing in people.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Another wonderful Thursday afternoon to you, everyone. It is the 10th day of the month of July 2025. Welcome once again to The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, your host and producer, alongside our technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph. And we have another, I won't call him a guest. Anytime he or Terry come in here, they're automatically my co-host. Miguel Evelyn Favrier is with us. Good afternoon, Miguel, and welcome once again to our program. You've been here a few times, but not first time here in terms of the new building that we've moved to in San Souci from where we were at Barnard Hill. So welcome to the program again, and welcome for the first time to our new studio and premises and building, etc.
Looks beautiful.
All right. I hope you're having a good day, everyone. It is another of those beautiful days. We've had quite a stretch of them. I hope they continue. And you know me and the chalet. What I like is that it's bright and sunny, but it's not, sweltering, scorching heat and like we can sometimes have. I'm always so grateful for them in this age of global warming. That when we have cool days, I think it's something for us to be very thankful for. Our program, as you know, airs weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on Real FM, the radio station that serves you on two frequencies, 91.3 for the north and 91.5 for the south, simulcasting on NBC television. We are also on Facebook Live and on YouTube live streaming as well. Now, I'm not too much the kind of guy that does a good job at shout-outs and birthday greetings and so on. I really need to get more into that. It seems to be one of the things that is a plus, an asset for popularity and being well-connected to fans and your audience and so on. Maybe that's why, I'm such a boring guy, penwasi fella. Maybe that's why too many people don't like me and don't take me on. But today I couldn't let this one pass, especially since he sent it to me very early. My good friend, my comrade, for many, many, many years. Nice guy all around to me. I don't care what anybody else says about me, but I'm sure many people are very grateful to him for the work that he does, his absolute commitment to it. No kind of fly-by-night, and you can see he's very selfless about it. Feed the Poor Ministries. Gaspar Henry is celebrating his birthday today. And so he sent me his own little song. I wonder, did he compose that little birthday ditty for himself? I don't know, but it sounds good. It sounds almost Christmas-like. So I said, in July, Gaspar tried to send something more carnival-like, no man. But anyway, I know because of your faith, probably you don't venture into certain areas. So let's first put up the picture of Gaspar on the screen. Let people see who Gaspar Henry is, as if they don't already know. And this is Gaspar, decked out in red. By the way, Gaspar is an ex-cop, He used to be in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. So let's hear that little song to see if he composed it himself.
Happy birthday, Gaspar. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, Gaspar. Happy birthday, Gaspar. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, Gaspar.
All right, okay. I think it's well more than worth it for Gaspar Henry. A great guy, like I said, who looks out for other people, who was always... I remember when I came back from Antigua 3 years ago, there was a kind of a shortage of sugar at one point.
Yeah.
And I was looking for sugar. And I think quite by accident, I mentioned to Gaspar about the shortage of sugar. And either there was white sugar, and I don't use white sugar. I never buy white sugar. You'll probably easier find me using white flour as opposed to the whole wheat.
Sugar.
I'll eat white rice for you. But I prefer the brown and so on, whatever. But I would never buy white sugar. And I told Gaspar, and he walked, I wasn't expecting that. Gaspar walked all the way from town up to the studio to bring me.
That's the kind of person
he went searching where he could find brown sugar, and he actually brought it to me. And I said, I didn't need so much, Gaspar. It's just a little sugar because I don't use great quantities of sugar. And he walked up, found the sugar wherever he went to get it, and brought me a package of sugar, and I've never forgotten that and greatly appreciate it, the kindness and selfless.
That's how we July ones are.
Ah, yes. Yes, I'm told that you, Rosie Fridges,
Karen Tobia, Elizabeth Darius Clark was this week.
Okay, all right, okay, wonderful, Ambassador. Okay, I suspect Ambassador listens to us quietly and so on. So let me just say greetings to Ambassador Elizabeth Darius Clark. And of course, if she doesn't hear it herself, I'm sure I know somebody who will convey it to her as well. Folks, there's always a lot of talk about crime, especially when we have the gun violence and the shootings. And it is something we have to be very apprehensive, on our toes, freaked out about, spooked about, and so on, because we never know when it can hit home or very close to home. Unlike a knife, which a person needs to have it in his hand to stab somebody, a bullet is something that can go further, much further, at great velocity, where it's not intended, where the people that it gets contact with are not involved with. It's a very dangerous, more dangerous than most forms of violence that we have to contend with on a daily basis. But there is something I've been saying for a while, and I'll say it again. I suspect that before situations reach the point where people resort to gun violence, there has been a history. There has been a build-up. So far, nothing that I have heard suggests that people just walk the streets and they just look at somebody and say, this fellow will take a nice bullet, let me give it to him. It may be happening, but I don't know that anyone has made a connection in such randomness with the gun violence. Now, there are crazy people, there are several billy people, but usually people, there is a history, there is a build-up, there is aggression, there is something you did to me or you did to a relative of mine, there's something, of that kind and so on. And that is why I have been saying all the time, we need a whole of society approach, and we need to declare zero tolerance against all forms of crime, violence, and the aggression that precedes it. There just is too much aggression in the country. The whole build-up to it, such as when people threaten people, it has to be taken very seriously. Now, I know it's putting a lot of work on the police and so on, but that work, I believe, pays off. Because people have a way when they feel powerful, and when they feel powerful in an impunitive way, that there is very little left to hold them back. In other words, the power of the gun in the hands of a young man who maybe does not have other things going in his favor to make him feel good, that would, to validate him and so on as a person. The ability to take down and take out somebody is probably something that is appealing to him. I'm no sociologist or social psychologist. I cannot tell you what is at work, but I believe there just is too much in the country that is not dealt with. There is not enough pushback against it. There is not enough, dealing with people before it gets to the gun violence, letting them know that their aggression and their threats and their cussing and their insults and all of that, that it is something that will not be tolerated, so that at least they will think more, not just twice, but think continuously about what they intend to do, what they plan to do, what they're about to do. I think you get my drift and you get the idea. We have to take all those things serious. I know the police are taking the whole gun thing serious. I know that, and that is why a lot of people were alarmed at the death. I don't know what is behind it, but people are suggesting poisoning of that dog, Tyson, the police sniffer dog, whatever the names you call it. But people, that dog, I'm told, played a very key, very important, indispensable role in sniffing out illegal items, whether it be guns or drugs or whatever, in detecting them, as only the nose of an animal that is sharp, like a dog and so on, can do when it is well trained, etc. I hope a breakthrough is made very soon. Whether or not there is a connection between it and the spate of gun violence that seems to have erupted almost right after, the death of that dog. It may not be, but we went through a little period of quiet. Nobody knows except those who are really involved, but deal with it we must, because once it erupts and explodes, you never know how long it will go on for, how many victims it will claim, and so on. People, we have to be more serious and reach out. The police have shown us, if we had any doubts, how serious they are about this matter, but they cannot do everything themselves. They cannot be everywhere. They cannot anticipate and know what is happening. There are too many ways we can get information to the police without, there's anonymous line that you can give anonymous tips, that you can give anonymous leads to the police, and don't get yourself involved in a manner that may affect, your own life and safety. So much said for that. Let me just say one other thing before I basically hand over to Miguel. I'm sure he must be, having a lot of things to say. Today I spoke to someone, mature person, deep thinking person, and he told me something that should have been obvious to me, but I hadn't thought about it. He said, look, as we head towards another election, the Labour Party has to be cognizant that if it wants to maintain a commanding, aka 2/3 majority in the House, it cannot afford to lose more than one seat. And I said, but why? They have 15. He said, no, they don't have 15. The Labour Party has 13 seats, in the parliament. They cannot take for granted that it is a given that the two independents now will continue to support them, will continue in the coalition. They are independents after all, and the word independent means just that. You do not know whether Richard Frederick, as it is his right as an independent, or Stevenson King may decide that, look, they prefer to sit as independents in the parliament, in the House of Assembly, if they win their seats, and there's very little indication that they won't, even though Favre wants to put one of them on the thread. That's why I brought him here today to answer Weapon Tetley. Okay, just kidding. Mix is cut of a different cloth. But you go and you lose more than one, it means you're down to at least 11. 11 is not a 2/3 majority. You need at least 12 seats, 12 is 2/3 of 18. We have 17 seats. You need at least 12 seats to have a 2/3 majority, which is a more comfortable breather so that you can advance your agenda. So the Labour Party needs to lose no more than one seat if it is to have a comfortable, breathable, livable 2/3 majority in the parliament. Yes, Richard Frederick and Stevenson King, we have nothing to suggest. But you see, when you lose seats and maybe you go down to 9, if the Labour Party were to lose 4 of the seats that it has now and it goes down to 9, it still has the majority, but that's a razor edge majority. And what if, not just the independents, think about the independents start to behave bad and one of them says, if you want me to continue with you, I want to be prime minister. If you want me to do this, and people, even your own people, your own side, your own Labour Party people might start to behave bad. Who might believe that this is what they want and this is the ministry, and if you're not giving them that portfolio, they begin to threaten you, they begin to browbeat you, maybe even blackmail you, like they have some sort of Damocles over your head that, look, things very tight, so you better don't play with me. And even your own supporters begin to behave bad, as many of them start to do once elections are coming close. Who want a diplomatic post, who want a job, who want a contract, who want this for their scholarship for their daughter or for their son, and they begin to do this kind of arm twisting towards you because election coming, you might be afraid, you might be nervous, you might be scared to lose, you might be scared not to get my vote, and so this is the time to press home my demands and to make that of you. Even before elections, when you still have that spanking commanding majority, people can start to, much less after an election, if you go down to 9, and people realize, yes, you still won the majority, but it not supporting you, anyway thing can go. And every day, some minister on the back of the prime minister, this thing for my constituency, if I don't get it, I'll have to reconsider my support, and so forth and so forth. You don't want this kind of thing. So all I'm saying, Labour Party, leadership, membership, supporters, people, just chew on those things and consider them, because you cannot afford to take anything for granted. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Election is not guaranteed. Turnout is not guaranteed. Voting is not guaranteed. You do the very best you can. And you do not go into that booth with any individual. They go in there themselves and they exercise their choice. They exercise their franchise. You cannot say for sure that this is what you need to do is to do what you can do, what you're supposed to do. Miggs, go ahead, my friend.
Shelton, good afternoon to everyone viewing and listening. I did not get a chance to say good afternoon to you, and it's good. Thank you, Shelton, for having me here, and it's good to be in the new studio. It feels and looks really good. I like the setup as well. Shelton, I want to jump off what you spoke about regarding the dog. And I'd like to say that I appreciate the objective way in which, I'll use the term appeared, in which you approach this situation. And I'm going to precede my statements is in an effort to juxtapose what we see now in line of what you said about the elections being there, and all types of tactics as well will be employed by the current opposition, New WP. You would notice, Shelton, that even prior to the news, that official news coming out about the death of that dog, of Tyson, you saw already a propaganda piece by the United Workers' Party and clearly insinuating that a government minister, in fact, we could say it, insinuating that Richard Frederick, based on all their utterances and certain references they made, clearly saying that Richard Frederick. And you find a particular talk show host having an entire show, 2 days. In fact, he had 2 days about me. So that would tell the depth of his content. But devote an entire show to that, not once denouncing the statements or the suggestions that the government minister may be involved in it, but allowing that propaganda to percolate, calling on the authorities to make a statement when there was a statement made by, I think it was Officer Bashar Masili. But I say all this to say that I agree that we have to be very, very careful about the type of propaganda and when we're speaking lawlessness, because all that, the defamation and the libel that they continue to play out and to act out on social media and on the platform, is indicative of the lengths that they will go to try to win that election. Now, I wanted to finally make a comment on the situation that, speaking of lawlessness, that just occurred over the weekend with the leader of the opposition storming his way to the hospital. Much has been said about it, about the Prime Minister's reaction, about you shared some concern about the press release being put out by the SLP not being congruent with what the Prime Minister may have said, reportedly.
There seemed to be some divergence. Between
right?
the SLP's hard-hitting press release and the Prime Minister, who was both leader of government and leader of the party, basically saying, hey, it's not a big deal. Not that either of them is wrong. I'm just saying that supporters were so basically fired up by the press release.
Obviously, it would be, because there's a general disdain for Alan Shastry as well. And they would, with the supporters all having to say that the SLP are so quiet, they seem to be soft on this the opposition. This may have been, they may have taken this one as a rallying cry for them to come out now and demand for some action or some sanctions to be placed.
Right.
But let me put it this way. Number one, Alan Shastry going to the St. Jude Hospital, you realize it was on the heels of the last House sitting where the discussions about the hospital, where he made this outrageous claim, referencing Reno Gajada on the documentary, where Reno said that he's made enough money that he could buy, that he probably has shares, he could buy shares in, I think it was British Airways, because he spent so much money transporting equipment from via that airline, right? So what you saw was Alan Shastry making those statements, suggesting that there were no bills of quantities and the government is just spending money willy-nilly on the hospital. He visits it, as he would always do, as he pleases. He doesn't seek permission or anything. He goes on site. Reno says, let him on. So they call Reno. Reno says, let him on. The Prime Minister says it's no big deal. What are you to take from that? It means that we have nothing to hide. That's how I see it. Let him go and make a fool of himself. Mind you, I believe that we have to be careful, considering all the utterances, the public utterances by the United Workers' Party regarding taking the country back, don't allow them to open the hospital, this and that kind of thing. We should be mindful, but allow Alan Shastry to display the narcissism that he has continued to display, the disregard.
The only thing that made me not feel too bad about his going is that he seemed to have gone alone.
Yes.
He didn't seem to have a great entourage or retinue with him and so on. And I said, okay, they didn't have people to disperse, you understand, and to maybe do mischief. Eyes could have been on him. If they have cameras installed, the cameras would have seen what is there. as opposed to if he had gone with, at least 20 people or whatever it was, it would have been a lot more difficult to monitor them. So that was when I said, okay, if he went alone, maybe it wasn't too menacing or risky,
Right, and you know what happened? Him going alone now also gives he and himself the opportunity to make up his own story, propagate his own story, so he doesn't have the Nancy's and them saying, "Oh, I was there too, and that's true, that's what I saw," and this and that kind of thing. So allow him. I think I have every confidence.
It's amazing that he has never done the arm stretch measurement, because he knows tall fella that he is. If he were to go and to use that arm thing there, people would say, "But that door is way too high, man."
Way too high. But Laura's wide, and she said it was too small. So I'm not sure. So the math is not mathing. But I say all this to say that Alan Chastney has been a typical example of the epitome, if I should say, of disregard for the laws of any rules, any conventions, and he will continue to do so. He always believes that this country, like someone said, that Michael Chastney died and willed the country to him, and this is his for the taking, and Philip JPI just came in encroaching on what is his. But allow him. If Philip JPI said die nothing, I have every confidence in Philip JPI saying die nothing, because the more you entertain the clown, the more the clown is going to want to perform for you at that circus, because that's how he's making
it's encouraged.
Yeah, it's encouraged.
Yes.
On the matter of the crime, right? Another mistruth and disinformation being peddled by the United Workers' Party, and Alan Chastney tried it in the House, was that he is saying that the crime, and the speaker did tell him that he should be able to demarcate and differentiate between the various categories of crime, because the latest reports from the police, Central Intelligence, the Central Intelligence Unit, states that crime was down, other categories were down 32%. So we have to be mindful. Look at how easily he was caught in the lie about saying that the EU has placed restrictions or travel bans, or visa bans on St. Lucia and other OECS countries, and he could not provide the evidence to show, except for an article which suggests as much. And when the pressure was put on him to provide the evidence, when he realized that he was caught, he decides he wants to rephrase it, and he still tried to escape with having to withdraw the statement until he was reminded again that the statement was not withdrawn. So I think we should be careful about the propaganda that is being spewed there. I don't even think the Flubbos themselves believe it. You listen to their rum table talk on a Sunday, and the clapping, even the clapping is not enthusiastic, Shelton. Come on.
Yeah, but they don't show the audience.
And they never show the audience.
Only the people who are on the platform and so on. So it probably is a good indication that the audience, the attendance isn't anything great.
My theory is that they have recordings saved of previous meetings, and so they're using the laugh track and the applause track and that kind of thing. That's what they
splice it in, when they have comedy recorded before a studio audience.
Yes.
Every line.
But that's why I really wanted to say about the dog thing in particular, because the maturity and objectivity in which you approach that's not what I found on the other side. And it was just unfortunate I was on a bus, so I had no choice but to listen to it. But it really ground my nerves. I think that we should wait until any official autopsy has been released to the public, and we should, because I think this is a matter of public interest, considering the speculation out there regarding it was murdered and blah blah blah. That should be important. Next thing I want to move on to, if we are, it's time for the break.
Go ahead. We have 2 minutes.
Another peddler propaganda is there's a tub of grease who resides in the United States called Cleophas Jules, aka KKRR, and I find it's quite disgusting. It's abhorrent that he would take to the internet, to Ross Perot's internet, Shelton, and to make suggestions that the gentleman was murdered and was murdered. Well, Alan Chastney said dogs were murdered. The dog was murdered. But suggests that that they may have been foul play in the man's death before any official...
That is the man that's the suspected drowning.
The drowning, yes, the suspected drowning. And he has pictures of Kenson. I think this man should be sued for defamation and libel. Yeah. And he seems to think that he can hide it under the shroud of comedy. You're not even funny. But the kinds of he takes it to an extreme.
The Bullum shroud. They try to make it look like it's a joke.
It's a joke, and that's how dangerous this man is. And I think that he should be taken to task for that, because Right now, what you are doing is inviting all sorts of negative speculation and comments about the country without even having an official autopsy on how the man died. You know, and people like that should be taken to task, Shelton, because he's going to continue to do it to the point it is so destructive, and you never know how many lives you may be destroying by that kind of propaganda that you are spewing.
Okay, thanks for that, Miggs. Of course, we'll be hearing a lot more from you on the other side of this commercial break that we must take right now. Real Issues powered by Blue Waters is on. Stay with us. Don't go away.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
What is the vision for the Vendors Arcade? To provide a world-class shopping environment where local goods and services can be provided and experienced by locals and visitors. Why is this redevelopment necessary? The renovations and expansions will revitalize the infrastructure and enhance the shopping experience for vendors, locals, and visitors. Who will be responsible for the Vendors Arcade? The arcade will continue to be operated and managed by the Castries Constituency Council, who will have full responsibility for the rental and maintenance of the space. How will construction of the Vendors Arcade be managed? A phased approach will be employed to minimize disruption to daily operations. After the completion of each phase, vendors will be relocated from the former arcade, and this will continue until completion of the new facility. St. Lucia Cruise Port. Investing in people.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell V4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Help prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Thank you for staying with the Real Issues powered by Blue Waters on this Thursday, July the 10th. We've just gotten a couple of very nice text messages, Migs, from somebody that we know and both respect.
Oh, yes.
You want to take them up?
Yeah.
Maybe read them?
Yes, Mr. Egbert Andrew, good afternoon to you. And thank you for that message, because you actually reminded me where I forgot that I wanted to lay blame. He says, but Shelton, what prevents Alan Chastney from taking another trip to St. Jude with an entourage numbering 20 plus and showing up late hours of the night? This is a very dangerous precedent. A visiting policy/procedure should be put in place. Chastney may very well have been testing the waters. This cannot be a well thought of visiting policy procedure. It is downright dangerous. I agreed, because one of the first things I said as well, when all the debate, I waited, when all the debate was sparked and ongoing, I said if Reno did indeed grant permission when he was called as reported, I think I fault him for that. I think that he should have kindly advised the leader of the opposition to go through the proper channels, which would be writing or a formal request to whether it be Reno, CC to the Prime Minister for him to visit it. I am sure, I have no doubt Philip J. Pierre would have had any issue with facilitating his thing.
Even Honorable
Moses Jabatis, yeah, who's the Minister of Health. So I think that there should have been a formal. Reno obviously is in charge of the property, in charge of the project. So permission, I believe, as far as permission can be granted.
It's construction site.
It's construction site, right?
And that is where you make the jump between a construction site to a functioning hospital. That is what you call commissioning. So until it is handed over to be commissioned as a functional facility, it remains a construction site where safety issues and all those things have to be considered and brought into play. You see, people have to understand, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, the Prime Minister, that's his personality. He doesn't allow himself to be drawn into unnecessary quarrels and back and forth. The church has an issue with the halls of justice being constructed and being so close to the cathedral, and whatever it is, jackhammer and piling, whatever can do. As far as the Prime Minister is concerned, why get into all this kind of standoff and confrontation? We can move it a little across to where the gatey was and so on. Let's go there. That is the nature of the Prime Minister. No unnecessary.
Nothing. He doesn't need to. I've never seen him first. Yeah.
If something can be done without confrontation and standoff and so on, just do it. But it doesn't take away from the fact that what this message writer has said, that Chastney can take this as an
invitation. Yeah.
That, you've given him an inch. For him
agreed. And he will.
And then to come. And then that 20 plus entourage
will be Guy Joseph.
Yeah.
Guy Joseph sits at the right hand.
And Joycelyn Fletcher.
And oh Lord, tears from the crypt.
He just needs two people, Yeah.
But I also wanted to say another thing. Before there's one thing I blame the Labour Party on, not with this situation only, but with the general hospital situation, and I'll get there. We must also remember that requests were made by the then opposition to view what is now called the box.
And it met the same fate as the CDB funds, right?
Exactly.
Nada.
Zilch. Nothing.
Nothing. Not a peco.
Nothing. So that must be remembered. But Mr. Prime Minister and the government, the cabinet, where I blame you for all this propaganda the UWP is about the hospital and the old hospital and the ACO and the box and stuff from the onset. And I had requested, I said on social media, I said out loud to y'all, there should have, upon winning the election, upon coming into office, there should have been a media tour of the box, and whether you arrange for someone, whether it be NTN who broadcasts it live or a media house broadcasts it live, so the public and the media can get a first-hand view of the mess that was created by Alan Shastney and Guy Joseph and co. And I think had that been there, apart from the videos Christopher had on his show of water leaking and that kind of thing, you had the public had a real-time view of the mess that was there, I think they would have a better perspective of what took place between 2016 and 2021, or what didn't take place, because there was a stoppage of that of the hospital work for nearly 3 years. Right? Had the public and the media got a first-hand view upon entering office, Alan Shastney probably would not even be sitting in that leadership spot of the United Workers' Party, because the people would have understood the gravity of the millions spent the hundreds of millions spent between 2016 and 2021 without any real result except for cladding over frame.
All right, folks, let me say good afternoon to Mr. Augustus Kade, former permanent secretary, and he is also a former social transformation. There was a time it was called community. Oh, your boy, everybody's your cousin, man. Okay, all right. And he wrote a very nice piece which I saw on social media, and I tried to save it so that I could have. But now that I'm clicking on the link, it's not opening up.
Essential link where?
For me again. No, I saved the link so that I could have read at least a portion of it. It looked kind of lengthy. But I guess, hold on a second, I think Jaquan is offering to help. Yeah, you can see Augustus Kade, but when I click on it, it's opening something else.
Probably can't be seen. Maybe it doesn't exist.
So I'll go to his page and see if I can get it there. It doesn't look like the kind of piece that I would need any special permission from him to read, and he did admit that there are a lot of things he could have been commenting on, but he has not done so because of being, otherwise so engaged. We know one of his ambitions is to be the person who replaces Dr. Kenny Anthony as the elected MP for Vieux Fort South. He and 3 others, competitive field. So we'll see how this turns out. What I like about the Vieux Fort quartet, the 4 in Vieux Fort, is that they don't seem to have turned their ambitions and their hopes into something that is bitter. Anything that is
actually, I went down to
nasty that spills over and that's causing division. I don't get that.
I know. I actually went to a children's activity on the square. Well, I brought my daughter down to a funeral, and I went to the square. My dad was there selling popcorn. There was some activity during the week, and all 3 of them for the children. Yes. And 3 of them were there, and they were there around with everybody. So I like the camaraderie I see going on between the 3 of them, because they do understand that the goal is to ensure that we continue the legacy and the policies of this current administration and continue the mission of putting people's St. Lucians first. So whomever wins the election, wins in the nod by the St. Lucia Labour Party, will and should get the support of the others, even if they were not successful.
All right. So what are we going to do now? We'll open the phone lines if anyone wants to call. We'll also read some of the messages that we are getting. So the phone lines, the mobile number on which you can WhatsApp call us is 758-487-9849. That's 487-9849. And you can also call us on the local landline, which is 4533-911. And what do you know? We have our first call already. Real Issues, you're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Daniel.
Hi, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, and to your guests.
Good afternoon.
My co-host.
Yeah, co-host. Yeah, what makes that visitation at St. Jude so dangerous? Remember that in a town hall meeting in Vieux Fort, Alan Shastney said if you were to allow them to complete that hospital, Crapo smoke your pipe. That's what he told the people. But I believe Crapo will smoke his pipe, not that of the people, because the hospital is in the people's favor. And I believe Alan Chasney and the devil, they have something in common because they both are compulsive liars. I remember he said the government was making $6 plus on the gas before the 2016 elections. When he came in, he couldn't prove it. Rather than he remove the excess, he put $1.50 on it. He went to New York and said that we lost our corresponding banking services. He said it for the whole world to hear. And that was a lie. So this man is an individual we should never trust with the finances of our country again. Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Shelton, it's interesting that this caller said so. And, you know, I probably have some bad luck following me in my media life because Choice had lost all the stories that I had from my time. So had HTS and NBC. And I have both Ubaldus and Bradley on record. I asked them that question, indicating that there was no hidden 680. And one of them even said, Bradley even said he trusts what the public servants tell them in terms of the price calculation.
We have another call on the line. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Not a word, not a word, not a word.
Not a word, not a word, not a word. Well, you say some words for us.
Megs,
My brother, good afternoon.
you think if Alan Chasney had seen anything of in error,
He would have made noise.
made coming out of St. Jude,
Boy, all over
it
the
would have
place.
made noise up to a day like today.
Yep.
So you mean now so he must be Morty Riri?
Let me tell you something, Shelton. Alan Chasney now is in reflection based on what he said. The last caller repeated it. Based on what he said. And he knows what Guy Joseph said. If we don't finish St. Jude, who finish St. Jude? But I want to also go back to what the United Workers... No. I like to frame it well. If you notice, every time I write something, I write it as Alan Chasney's United Workers Party. So the Alan Chasney United Workers Party, where people are jockeying for positions, Miniva want to be the one breaking stories, Soraya want to be the one breaking stories, KKR want to be the one breaking stories.
Breaking news.
The other one in New York, what's her name, Megs?
Ian Cauldron.
Ian Cauldron, plus the woman that is trouble people all over the place.
The modest girl.
Modest, want to be the one breaking stories. You think if Miniva Ward had an email with Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre's name, appealing and crying like a baby to Martinez, please Martinez, don't take me to court. You think Miniva and them people would not put it out? I'm sure that who is that?
Because they put in Martinez, not sure, Monsieur really sound clowning us.
No, but I mean,
So the case
and these are some of the things that our people must understand, because you have to understand the psyche of people. But Mahalas got Mopa Ali call for politics. Politics must say at here. And I understand it and I understand strategies. Now, if you notice what the United Workers Party does, they go on a Sunday and spew propaganda and lies that will hit the media
for the week
on a Monday. Try to dominate the rest of the days. And then the media in itself, instead of going and do research, will come in and shove a mic into the faces of the Prime Minister and the other ministers as to what was said on a Sunday. So you understand the strategy?
Yeah, so basically the government is just being asked to respond to what was said.
Exactly, and you have to respond for the whole week.
Yeah.
And what it happens, it put a damper on your progress. So I also want to say again that I know there is one Labour Party and one United Workers Party. The choice is clear, according to TC. I'm voting for Mr. Pierre. I'm staying with Mr. Pierre. However, we all know that there are little shake-ups, candidates that probably did not do what they have to do best. And what I'm appealing to Labour Party supporters, there's only one Labour. Whoever, if there is any changes, whoever, we are sticking with Mr. Pierre. The choice is clear.
Very clear.
All right.
All right, my
Thank you
brother.
very much, sir. Thanks a
Easy.
lot. All right. 487-9849, 758-487-9849. You can WhatsApp call us on this number. And you can also call us on the local landline 4533-911. You can go to realfmofficial.com as well as to mbcslu.com. And on both these websites, you will find messaging links where you can send WhatsApp text messages to us. And I'm looking at the screen right now where once they come, they'll flash up in real time. And we can read them straight off our on-air WhatsApp messaging board. And on both these websites also, you can listen to Real FM. There's a button there, listen to Real FM, or watch MBC TV Live. So you can get us in many different formats and avenues and so on. Migs?
Frank said something a while ago which reminded me of something else, and I just got lost reading a message. But Shelton, as unbelievable as it is, I don't see how anyone can sit down there and listen to their rum table talk or whatever they have on a Sunday night and get anything. If I were the Prime Minister and the media comes to me to respond to something, I was thinking when Frank said, I would say, listen, when you find something of substance on that platform, come ask me questions on what they say.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
Because have you heard anything apart from innuendos and nothing.
Yeah.
And
the United Workers' Party behaves that it does not even have talking points.
Shelton, I'm embarrassed.
It just has to come up with things thrown here and there.
I'm embarrassed, Shelton. I'm embarrassed.
Always a whole lot of innuendo and a whole lot of insinuation to try to talk about people's lives and the lying, and you cannot show where the lies. Well, we have another call on the line. Hello. Hi, caller.
Good afternoon. It's
good
called
afternoon
trying to remain relevant in the scheme of things. That's all I see it as, PR stunts. And Frank was right about these guys going over the weekend. And so they remain in the news for the whole week. That is their relevance. Now, your first caller made a point that has always stuck with me. You know why? Because I'm sitting listening to the Prime Minister, the party listening to Parliament one time, and the present Prime Minister confronted the past Prime Minister the fact that he had raised the excise tax by 60%.
Thank you.
No. I'm an ordinary layman. But you don't know what happened. The then Prime Minister could not figure out that 150 was 60% of things. I say, oh my God. I say, oh my God. This is what we're in for? Now, the other point is, one of the things I highlighted in my mind, let us see, when Alan Shasta's Prime Minister, let us see every Emancipation Day. What happens?
Oh, yeah. I thought of that, caller, just the other day, I thought of that.
Go, backtrack, and go and check every time whilst Alan Shasta was Prime Minister, where he was or what he was doing on Emancipation Day.
He probably wasn't here. He flies out around this time.
Emancipation Day is my birthday.
Yeah. He flies out around this time for real. He's in Canada around that time.
He cannot identify with us, the average St. Lucian. That's why I have to give that present Prime Minister his props. That man was something else.
That's one of the first things. That's one of the first things he did. Colin. When he came in, we had our first Emancipation Day celebration right after the election.
And what is planned for this one coming?
Oh yeah, It's been getting bigger and better every year.
No, Miguel, you know what that is.
Of course I know.
So I just want to big up one man, Terry Fellow boy. I went to St. Mary's College with Terry Fellow, and he was always very introduced. He always to himself, his circle of friends was very small. But what? Misol alibi?
Militant.
What? And I'm telling you something, eh? I am so impressed with Terry Fellow right now that if you see we are an army, that man could be my field marshal. I'd follow him into battle. That Terry Fellow.
You know, I sent Shelton a message yesterday. I was telling him I find Terry has actually grown in his role and persona in the media.
Yeah, you see that man?
Yes.
That man is a class act.
Yeah, man.
But you know, I want to go back to my Prime Minister. Miss him not now and ever. I've been proud to be a St. Lucian. You know, because the dignity that man bring to that office, you know, that nonsense the man going to do there. I say that in my mind, I say, when you arrest that man, keep consider much ado about nothing. A storm in a teacup. And like somebody just reiterated, the fact that if you see, you could have gone down there and see anything out of, you could imagine the headline. But it has nothing.
Boy.
My God, for Shelton, Miguel knows that, but for Shelton's benefit, I was born into the belly of both of these beasts. My father was a founding member of the United Workers' Party, but my mother was from Conway. Conway is usually back it It's Conway in red. You know? I know what went on. And trust me, I have never seen the United Workers' Party reduced so low.
Boy, it's embarrassing, you know.
Nothing of substance. Nothing of value. My God, that's my father party. A set of fellows who had their head in the clouds, their noses up in there, all their pride and their dignity, you know, them fellows used to be involved in them little things as anything else. But the present crop take it to another level.
You know,
Miguel know the story. Miguel know the story about me and the other fellow in the nice hair.
Of course. But let me tell you
what I suffered. But I'm still here. I'm still here.
Suffer. You know,
and I will make sure at the next election I'm ready and ready.
But Bog, you know what would be interesting? What would be interesting? Someone needs to go. The media needs to go and find Mr. Hollis Bristol or one of those and sit down there and ask them what they think about the current state of United Workers' Party.
Okay. Good idea.
When he mentioned some of those, the type of people at the party that were the stalwarts or who really had a say in the United Workers' Party, you need to find them now and ask them what they really think of the great United Workers' Party.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of political thing you're attracting now. Nobody with any substance. Nobody with any, you know, endless people that just come and look to help themselves. Now one last thing, like I said originally, you see all of these antics is to just to remain relevant. And the next election will be judged on performance. Who performed and who didn't. We can see the chalk, we can see the cheese. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Thank you very much.
You know, Shelton, when he mentioned Philip J. Pay and That Is Nothing, I have an uncle who's he's not into the politics in that thing. And I had him listen to Philip J. Pierre's address the very day after at the Kensington Town Hall meeting. And he literally showed me he got chills. Yes. And he said, that is a man. And he said, I started listening to certain things that he has done in terms of, and he was really, he said, bro, I really listened to Philip J. Pierre speak, he got chills. Anyway, we have a caller?
Yeah, let's take this last call before we go for the
Good afternoon, Shelton.
Hey, good afternoon, my
brother.
Birthday brother.
Good afternoon, Mick.
Happy birthday, my brother.
Yeah, I want to thank you all very much, Shelton. I want to thank you very much, Shelton.
Yes, anytime. You're welcome.
Yeah, man, I feel special and honored.
Yes.
Yeah, the government of Philip J. Pierre recently, invited and host one of the, the African leaders to our shores with an attempt to foster ties to see how best we can connect, because into this world we have to try to ensure that we can foster relationships with different countries in order for us to try to strengthen our economy. And we saw a lot of chokais, I call them chokais, black people who are black on the
outside and white on the inside. A lot of people, you know, quarrel and make an issue out of that. But Miguel, watching the international news there a while ago, I came across a headline. Trump hosts leaders of 5 African nations to explore commercial opportunities. Let me go for that again.
Remind me of
Donald Trump hosts leaders, not of one, you know, not of 2 African nations, 5 African nations.
But side note, while you're on that, you're saying that, but then that meeting also showed the depth of Trump's ignorance and racism and bigotry, because the Liberian, you heard what he said to the Liberian Prime Minister. You speak so well. You speak English so well. Why do you learn English? Learn to speak English.
Liberia is a creation of the United States, you know.
Liberia, and their first language is English. Their official language is English.
Liberia was made for freed American slaves who wanted to repatriate to Africa, that they would have a homeland in Africa. It's basically like the Israel of Africa.
So yes,
they're well said. But the point I'm bringing across is Trump as a racist. Trump as an opportunist.
Yep.
You think it's just so he will look to foster ties with 5 African nations if he has the benefits?
The minerals, wealth and
that's what they want.
The
oil. And we as a little 248 square mile place with nothing. And the brilliance of our Prime Minister now coming into the fore to foster ties with Nigeria, people vex, you know, man. People condemning that, you know. Shelton, that's my first point. My second point, and very quickly,
is
Alison Jean, a brave woman, a strong woman, a woman of honor, integrity, a woman who served her country, a woman who helped the poor and underprivileged. I am calling upon you to continue taking your stand to ensure that your good name is being preserved. And I must say, Miss Allison, you are a woman who inspires me to see that you are able to take on that Philistine, that Goliath called Guy Joseph, for trying to sully your name and want to put you in the ranks of one who is corrupt.
Gaspar, don't mind Guy Joseph there, you know, a little chihuahua.
Something else, you know, man.
A little chihuahua he is, you know, he's intimidated by Alison Jay, you know. Don't mind Guy there, you know.
Have to give a man a run for his money.
Guy is intimidated by anybody who will stand up to him. Don't mind him. A little chihuahua is back, yapping. Don't mind him there at all.
Because he's the one that against women. He don't want the government to give women, you know, pads.
He fears this woman. Trust me, he fears her.
And I must say that she's very courageous. Miss Allison, stand up for what you believe. Stand up for what is right. Shelton, I know we are approaching 1:40, so have a good afternoon. Bye-bye. God bless.
We passed it. All right, my brother. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We take our final commercial break. Then we'll be in the home stretch towards our wrap-up at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's me, Shelton Daniel, with Miguel Evelyn Favre as my co-host today. We'll be back shortly. Don't you go away.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
What is the vision for the Vendors Arcade? To provide a world-class shopping environment where local goods and services can be provided and experienced by locals and visitors. Why is this redevelopment necessary? The renovations and expansions will revitalize the infrastructure and enhance the shopping experience for vendors, locals, and visitors. Who will be responsible for the Vendors Arcade? The arcade will continue to be operated and managed by the Castries Constituency Council, who will have full responsibility for the rental and maintenance of the space. How will construction of the vendors' arcade be managed? A phased approach will be employed to minimize disruption to daily operations. After the completion of each phase, vendors will be relocated from the former arcade, and this will continue until completion of the new facility. St. Lucia Cruise Port, investing in people.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Appreciate you staying with the real issues on this Thursday, the 10th of July, 2025. Now, the question was asked whether Honorable Richard Frederick is going to be on tonight. I'm not sure. He would usually put out a notice. I think the House of Assembly is meeting today.
It's supposed to meet at 12, but they just went live.
Okay, so they had a delayed start, because we don't know how late into the evening it will go or might go. But Honorable Richard Frederick tends to always put out a notice when he realizes that he'll have to put it off. So most likely, if he hasn't already done so, he is going to do so. But ordinarily tonight, 8:30 on NBC Television and Real FM Radio, as well as on Facebook Live. They have their own page, of course. People who tune in by the tens and tens of thousands to listen to Can I Help You with Honorable Richard Frederick. And a while ago, Miguel mentioned him about they always trying to take something and wrap it around his neck, dog die, whatever it is. You know why they're doing so now? UWP wasn't doing that before, It's from since Richard Frederick had his U.S. visas restored, returned to him. That branch of mépris, that they thought they had over him. Well, we have this. You can't go to the States. That is no longer a factor. That is no longer an issue. So they have to try to be involving, everything, is associated with him. Somebody gets shot, it's whatever they're trying to do. None of it has stuck. And that is the thing. They don't have the visa thing over his head anymore. So they have to try to be inventing things. A couple of them have stepped over the line, and I think he has spending against them. And there may be more, because I think Richard is the type of person, he'll take and he'll let things pass, and then one day he decides he's having it no more, and he will take action. And I don't think this will be any exception. I have a kind of a lengthy message which says, "Good day to you both, Shelton. I heard on the news about a fake doctor who has been practicing here with a fake license. My question is, are these people screened and assessed thoroughly before starting work here? I remember there was a fake surgeon at St. Jude's who was operating on people here, and he operated on my sister for stones in her gallbladder, and he never got any stones, and he damaged her nerves and was being treated for, what's that, pancreas? For Parkinson's, maybe they said, which she had none of these things. He also wanted to operate on my mom for hemorrhoid, and she said never.
Wow.
The man quarreled with her, but she stood her ground. The man was mad. Can you imagine his wife was telling patients, do not allow him to cut them because he did not pass his license. Then when he was done damaging people's lives, he went back to the States. So why does the Minister of Health allow these people in our country and practice?
No, it's not the Minister of Health. Huh?
Yeah. There's supposed to be a medical council.
Dental council, the American Dental Council. They're the ones who approve the license.
They're supposed to, and nowadays, it's true people and fraud and so on has become sophisticated, but the means of verification and detection, I think has also become very sophisticated.
It's very sophisticated.
Nobody should be able to come here and
be.
tell you they're an eye doctor without you being able to check, on those things and to be sure, did that person pass whatever the American Medical Board examination? Did they do whatever the accreditation that is supposed
I think
to?
Even Spider the masseuse was at once a member of the Allied Health Council, which covers physiotherapy and sports therapies and these things. I think to get his license, he would have had to go to the Medical and Dental Council. They would be the ones to issue a license to revoke and approve your license to operate. So that the slippage would not be on the minister or the Ministry of Health. That would be on the part of the council whose role it is to approve and things like that.
So I don't know, how these things how those things can happen. For example, when Alan Chasney came and said he had this master's degree from American University in development banking, which is a cross between an MBA and there were actually St. Lucian officials with a Labour Party who were authorized that they could have gone. If I go to the university, they won't want to give it to me. They'll tell me there's privacy issues. Yeah. But there are St. Lucian personnel in the diplomatic service who are empowered and authorized to go to the university, and as they would have had to give it to them because of the basically the standing of an ambassador or whatever. Nothing like that was done. We have a second stint since then where Labour is back in government. You wonder whether any effort was ever made to verify this, whether someone who subsequently became Prime Minister of St. Lucia and is looking to become Prime Minister of St. Lucia, whether they consider it important or of any kind of significance or value for them to check on those things, because it became a public controversy. You understand?
Yes, it did.
It became a public controversy. Do you believe it was anybody to do with the Labour Party or the government?
Oh, they found out a long time ago.
They would not have used whatever weight they had to get it. Apparently, on a second pass, nothing is being done. Now, this is not so serious as a doctor. A medical doctor, a surgeon, someone who's going and cutting people up and looking into their pancreas and all this kind of thing and want to operate somebody on or hemorrhoids the person probably does not have and so on. This is serious. It's a matter of direct threat and risk to a person's health and
there's,
life.
in many cases, there's no reversing, as in the case of maybe Ogilvy. If, let's say, Ogilvy had represented you and he made an error, you end up in jail. At least you'd have recourse in appealing and that kind of stuff. When it comes to your health, there's no turning back if something goes wrong.
Yes. Anyway, we have another call on the line. Good afternoon. Real Issues, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Nenen.
I'm experiencing some problems. Let me call back.
Okay.
Okay. Are we there still?
Yes, you're there.
Okay. My phone was doing what it wants because sometimes it has a mind of its own. I don't recall if I said good afternoon, but good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Nenen.
You have to go there. So you have to go there. So say, oh, you open that door, I'm going to walk right in. Good afternoon, Shotman.
Good afternoon.
Let me tell you all, we are making a lot of noise about a lot of things in this country that are not necessarily, they're important, you know. But I want to raise a point. A dog died. A dog died in police, in the what you may call it, the word evades me, but the dog was a police dog, a canine, okay, and that dog got killed. What surprises me, and I am not saying surprise to the point of negativity, but I find that it has become a talking point of the United Workers' Party, and crime has become a talking point of the United Workers' Party, and a visitor having dyed hair has become a talking point of the United Workers' Party because it's crime. We have somebody sitting emboldenedly blaming this country for the death of this visitor. We have that same person emboldenedly blaming this administration for the homicide rate. But like Mr. Pierre said, he never campaigned that he's going to make crime better. But he has provided the police force, the fire service with what is required to handle crime and all of those other things. It makes me wonder, my mind likes to stray a lot. Does UWP know a lot more about the crime that's going on in this place than they are letting out? They are speaking now about the number of homicides during the visit of the Nigerian president. Can I go, since I can stretch the imagination, can I stretch my imagination and find out whether this was orchestrated? Because we remember a former Minister of Health stood on a platform, whether it was a vigil platform or not, but he said, there are people who know people, who pay people to commit crime. That was never investigated. And we hear all of the rhetoric coming from that platform about getting angry and doing this and doing that. And like you always say, Shelton, let us not put anything past Alan Chasney and his current UW Pui, Neobon Western Juni.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Shelton, just on the point of the person, the doctor, I want to just differentiate because I see someone asked about the Medical and Dental Association.
It's not
we
need
to differentiate.
Like
it's a trade union. Yeah, it's a membership. It's a union.
It's a medical council.
Council. They're a licensing body.
Yeah,
so the man may very well be a doctor who's licensed elsewhere, but he did not go through the proper procedures where you go through you apply through the Medical and Dental Council, they check your qualification. But if he was practicing here, obviously he would have either
he must have gotten some approval.
His license may have expired,
so he had to leave here.
Well, I'm not. He was trying to leave. Apparently, from reports, he was trying to leave
because he needs to get a couple lashes of bull pistol, to go and cut open people and do all this kind of thing, and before you get caught. We have a call on the line. Good afternoon, Real Issues.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. What the lady said, the last caller, I support her on that. Because what happened is that, what I suspect, when the last time the commissioner gave the report or how they bring down crime, and we saw it for true, and then all in a sudden, like something trigger again, and like people were just dying after that. So there is a link, I would say, between these same people that are talking about crime now. They are the ones, you say I'm not mentioning names, they are the ones that after this kind of thing, because don't tell me, I mean, anything could happen. But if you check what is going on right now, remember the fellas say they declaring war. Now, we get a container with a last shipment of guns. We don't know how many that already arrived here, or while we're talking there is on the way. And we know well something is about to go on. So what I'm saying right now, the government and the police, the commission and the police force have to be very, very careful, because we mustn't take this thing for granted. Because from the time the United Workers' Party targeting the Labour Party, they have tried from day one up to now, different tactics if you're really checking it. And this time, what is happening now, they realize what they're going to say now. They have to try to bring up crime again to see if they will pass through again. So I want everybody to stay vigilant and not take nothing for granted. It's not a joke thing going on there. The fellas want to get back into power by any means of necessary, and if they have to pay people to do nonsense for them, which some hungry St. Lucians will be proud to do that, but they are stupid. So that is what I have to leave to St. Lucians today. Be vigilant and don't take nothing for granted.
Okay,
Thank you, caller.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks.
Shelton, when I think of people like Stephen Fevre, in fact, when I think of Stephen Fevre, I just shake my head and laugh. I laugh at just the ridiculousness of the entire situation where you have a man who has had decades, well, by now it's decades, it's 20 plus years of experience in the area of diplomacy and international relations. And you're going to come on a political platform and play second fiddle to Guy Joseph and Alan Chasney, and you're going to come with the same talking points as they do. I wonder if Stephen lays down in his bed at night, or lays down next to his wife, or sit down and think about the things that he has said, and does he feel embarrassed? You think so, Shelton? You may know him better than I do. You may probably have a chat with him already, but you think he feel embarrassed to go? I think Terry said when they mentioned this whole thing about Alan Chasney, he said, let's not talk about that. I think he really feels embarrassed, but maybe he's too far gone. I would advise him now to protect or to save or any bit of good political capital that you may have, or well, capital is good. Any political capital that you may have now, drop out of the race. Drop out of the race. It's not only bad that you're going to get steamrolled by the heavy roller. I think what you're doing now with yourself is beyond embarrassing. It's beyond. I can't see myself without a degree, having to be a subordinate of Alan Chasney and Guy Joseph, who don't even possess quarter of the intelligence that I do. I think that's just shameful that somebody like Stephen would find himself in that hot mess. And if what I'm hearing about Titus Preble is true too, he too. Titus Preble, I think, is too astute. Well, I believe he's too astute a gentleman to put himself in that mess. And if that is the case, then boy, according to Alan Chasney, crapo, smoke your pipe for true.
Yes, indeed. All right. 487-9849. That's the WhatsApp number. You can call us on 758-487-9849. We can still take a couple more calls, I think. And you can also reach us on the local landline, which is 4533-911. Yeah, go ahead.
Before that the call comes in, I want to also, when earlier caller mentioned the gas and the march and the 680, we must not, because I heard Alan Chasney in the House again on July 3rd, we must not forget that 680 was a made-up profit made up by Alan Shastney and the likes of the United Workers' Party and Guy Joseph to make it be the Labour Party was, how can a government,
ripping off the
how can a
people.
government, and we're talking about we're not talking about the executive, how can a government department like the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Commerce rip off the St. Lucian public in that way, in such a manner?
680 on each gallon of gas.
Come on. And then you know what happened? It was rebutted and said that it was changed to from a 3 month to a 3 week pass-through mechanism to more accurately reflect the fluctuations in prices.
Yeah.
He says no, but can't you remember after we marched, the price went down? They brought the price down by the very same amount. We need to look out for that propaganda and we need to debunk it, because Alan Shastney was the same one. And I can tell you, because I was the resident gas hound here at MBC, with every change every 3 weeks, I was the one reporting on it. They were collecting as much as $8 in excise tax on fuel. When the price went down, when the landed cost went down, there were times where we could have been paying 11 something. And I kid you not, Shelton, 11 something, which would have included the $4 excise tax. We could have been paying 11 something, and we were paying. They had capped it at what, the $13.95. At that time, there was a $8. They were collecting $8 in excise tax, and I used to get every Friday or by the Monday, I would get the build up with all the rates, and I would know for sure. So they're not fooling anybody with that nonsense. And Philip Japierre was very transparent in how he stated that they will cap it at $16. At $16. We'd cap it at $16. He gave the reasons. I don't think there's anything that we should fear. But when they're doing it, just saying this is the price of gas, they're not going to let you know that that we're collecting $8-9 in excise tax, where he could be paying $11. They'll be the first now crying, saying that bring it down for the people. Why couldn't he bring it down? He had the thing to sign.
Egbert Andrew is obviously very passionate about this whole hospital thing. And he sends another message. He says, and yes, notwithstanding contractual obligations to secure the site and give permission for access by the contractor, the owner of the building has the right to control access to the property. This is of particular importance in medical architecture. As the owner, you don't give up your right to control access.
Agreed.
All right. The government still owns the St. Jude Hospital site, and what goes on there, the financial obligations and for the loan from the Saudis and so on, is the St. Lucia government that's responsible for it. You know, the awarding of the contract to Reno, whatever, was done, by the government of St. Lucia.
Yeah,
and to people who come and who talk all kinds of things about the hospital and so on, you believe the Saudis would give the money to build that hospital if there was not
sufficiently all eyes dotted, T's
approved
crossed
plan according to best practice and so on for use of their money? You think they'll just come and throw money like that and they don't know what they're throwing it at? These people believe everybody.
And the same Saudis that they and their surrogates, just like the president of Nigeria. They're the ones, they were denigrating their statements. One said what first to sell. They said the Saudis. What did they say? Both the Saudi sorry, not Saudi. The Saudis were going to get our passports. Why are they giving us money for the hospital? Is it for them to get passports to sell? So they're projecting all their own transgressions or their intentions when they were there on the current Labour Party. But they need to know that Philip Japierre is as transparent as they get. He tells you as it is, and he's never been he's never been too proud to apologize.
That's true.
And say that he was wrong. And that in itself is a measure of a man and a leader. I was wrong.
That's true. This is quite true. All right, well, Migs, we're rapidly running out of time.
Yeah, I was just looking at the time.
I want to thank you for being here. Let me see. I was trying to see if I can get...
Someone says, Shelton, bring Reno. He needs to answer some questions about that visit. I don't think it's necessary. Oh, so Rosie Daniel says, maybe what they promised him is more important than his reputation. Well, I mean...
Who are they talking about, Reno?
I guess Stephen.
Oh,
Stephen.
Okay.
I'll not get into what was promised and what exchanges were made. Maybe when we have campaign financing laws enacted, finally enacted and passed, we'll understand. We can trace where some of those candidates get their seed, quote unquote, seed money on. But the talk is, as we close, not the talk is, there is information that a few of them, the new ones, received some large sums of money in the tune of hundreds of thousands, and their monthly salary, the equivalent of the current monthly salary
being paid to them
up until the
or
election.
maybe also, like I've said before, the guys are looking at a post-Chasney UWP.
The arrogance.
They're positioning themselves for UWP after Chasney, that they could end up being the top dogs.
So they're going to burn it all and try to rise as phoenixes?
You never know.
But you've already destroyed your brand by even standing on the same platform as he is, much less nodding to all the nonsense that they spew. So I don't see that. That's a bit of arrogance and narcissism too. To think that, okay, I'm going to takes to be the leader, so I will deal with all this, even though I don't agree with that philosophy.
Okay, thank you very much, Miggs. Nice having you.
My brother, thanks a lot
Terry
for having
won't
me.
be here tomorrow because he's got this program that he does on Fridays, Meet the Minister. So I don't know if you have the time.
Depends on how my anniversary night goes.
And you want to roll it. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jaquan.
My brother.
I think we have to wrap it up right now. The Lotto will cut in anytime. I think we had a great Thursday's program. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Until tomorrow, same time, where we'll be again together. Shelton Daniel signing out.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
What is the vision for the Vendors Arcade? To provide a world-class shopping environment where local goods and services can be provided and experienced by locals and visitors. Why is this redevelopment necessary? The renovations and expansions will revitalize the infrastructure and enhance the shopping experience for vendors, locals, and visitors. Who will be responsible for the Vendors Arcade? The arcade will continue to be operated and managed by the Castries Constituency Council, who will have full responsibility for the rental and maintenance of the space. How will construction of the Vendors Arcade be managed? A phased approach will be employed to minimize disruption to daily operations. After the completion of each phase, vendors will be relocated from the former arcade, and this will continue until completion of the new facility. St. Lucia Cruise Port, investing in people.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer